Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of We Go Deep with Kat and Sarah. Today is part one of a two-parter. We're very excited. So we're going to talk today about how do you know what you actually want? So how do you know, Kathleen? What
Yeah,
do you just want?
first of all, I think just briefly
Mhm.
having a discussion about why is it so important to discover what you actually want? Because I know for me, there have been times that I get frustrated because I'm not getting what I want. And I feel like I'm bumping my head up against the wall and I'm trying this strategy and that strategy, only to wake up one day and go, wait a minute. That's not coming into form. That's not actually materializing for me because it isn't what I actually want. So it's it's really important, and I think that you know getting clear, getting very clear on what we actually want is really important, because otherwise we're going to spin our wheels, you know, directing our attention toward things that we don't actually want. So that's why it's important to identify. So I'll bounce it back over to you, Sarah Joy. How do you know what sort of so we're going to have a discussion. Now that we know that's important, right? We're going to explore how do you discover what it is that you actually want.
I start by actually, I suppose I would start by noticing that I wasn't sure about what I wanted,
Mm, yeah.
or having a lot of circular thinking about something. Like maybe it looks like I want something. Um, Maybe I want to make a certain amount of money. And, maybe I'm saying, oh, but I can't have that. Or maybe oh, but maybe I'm going back and forth in my mind or round and round in circles. So then it feels like, do I really want that? I don't know. Doesn't feel good to think about it. So it would just be noticing, do I want that?
Yeah, what you said in there is where I was going to go. One of the things that helps me identify what it is that I really, really actually want is a feeling in my body. Like there is less when it's something that I actually want. My mind is usually a little bit more quiet, but there's a resonance. There's like an energetic resonance. There's something, and it can be different, but it's a familiar feeling of, oh yeah, oh yeah. It doesn't usually. Now, certainly, then the mind can jump in and say, yeah, but you can't get that. You shouldn't want that. Like it can start telling all of its stories. But if I can allow that mind chatter to just be there and sort of check in with the body, there's some signals that I usually get. So that is sort of something that has been helpful to me when I say, okay, do I actually want this? Think about the thing that I'm considering. Do I actually want? And then check in with the body. Like, how does it feel in the presence or absence of a busy mind? Like, I can tell there'll be something in the body that's a yes for me. Like, and I call it my inner knower. Like, I can't really even put words to it. But there's sometimes that there's just a knowing. Yep, that's a yes. That's a, and if it's not a yes, it's a, I don't know. I think I should. Maybe I could. A yes is a yes. It's clean. It doesn't have. How about for you, Sarah Joy?
Yeah. There's a lot where it's just clean straight off. Like yep, I just want that, or I just want this. Um, it's easier to practice on, say, small things day to day, like what do you just want for lunch? What do you know, if you're having ice cream, do you want chocolate or vanilla? Or if you're at a restaurant, just picking something off a menu. I just want to try that. Okay, great. Um, there's also how I was describing situations where I'm up in my head about something. So, like I was talking about that circular thinking, and I can't tell if I want something. So then I deliberately get quiet, or in an already quiet moment, I will kind of consider, do I actually want that? And
I
the
love
word,
what, what
I was gonna say the word actually is interesting, because the difference between do I want that or do I actually want that? To me, I get a different feeling, different answers. But in that quiet moment, it will usually be obvious.
yeah. I like what you were sharing about sort of practicing the the realization, the knowing of what you want with something simple, something that is, you know, smaller. Like, oh, I want ice cream. Do I want, and there's chocolate and vanilla in the freezer. Which one do I want? And then getting familiar with, like, like we're not giving people a prescription, go do that. But that's a great place to notice where you just know. And actually, if there's chocolate and vanilla in the refrigerator and you're not sure, then maybe you don't actually want ice cream. I don't know. Or maybe you really want both. I'll have a little bit of chocolate and a little bit of vanilla.
I thought it sounded like a fun exercise. Go to the grocery store and buy two types of ice cream that you equally enjoy, but you're only allowed to have one at any given time. Only
No,
if
well,
you.
I'm sorry. I would break the rules and put a little bit of both in my bowl.
Then how do you know what you actually want? I'm
I
teasing.
want both.
You want both? There you
I
go.
actually know that I really want both. Yeah. Yeah. I was also thinking when you were talking about that circular thinking, now I'm not sure, but so I want to ask you this, Sarah Joy. If you believe that you want something and it's just not happening, it's not materializing, it's not coming together, you come up against these roadblocks. Have you ever found that ends up, because for me sometimes that, like like this should be happening, this should be working, and it's not. And I don't like the word should, but sometimes for me I've used that as an opportunity to step back and say, do I actually want this? And I'm not saying that that's a formula when you're moving in the direction towards something and you're just hitting all these obstacles and challenges, and it just doesn't seem to be coming together, that means that you don't want the thing. Maybe it is an opportunity to go just to step back and go, do I actually want that thing? Because I don't think it means. We can hit a lot of roadblocks, and there are a lot of challenges can come up on the way to having what you want. But my experience has been sometimes in reality that helps me discover that I didn't actually want that. What's your experience?
I would, or have deliberately looked at the goal or thing I want separate from all those roadblocks. Like, okay, so separate from all these things that are maybe happening, do I still want this? Usually it's yes. I have had where I realized, no, I didn't want something, but I don't see the obstacles as evidence or meaning of anything. It would be more just part of the story on the journey of how I got to the thing I wanted. Oh, well, I went this way and there was a brick wall on the road. So I turned around and I went a different way. And on this road, there was a river that was overflowing. And so I had to turn around and go a different way. Um, so it could be like the story of how you got to grandma's house and through the woods. Or it could be, oh, I hit a brick wall and I went back to bed. But maybe you didn't actually want to go to grandma's house, but also maybe you did and you gave up. So does that answer? I see the obstacles as not related to whether I want something or not.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that's what I was trying to say as well. It, I, but at times, the obstacles have reminded me to pause. It's like a pause to check in and go, do I actually want this? Yep, I do. Might be a whole lot more obstacles. Like obstacles don't mean I want it or I don't want it. They're separate. Doesn't have anything to do. I think I was just trying to share that I have
Mhm.
had the experience of going, oh, let me just check in. Not because that means anything, that the number of obstacles, the difficulty of the challenges mean anything about whether I want it or not. Separate, for sure.
Yeah. One area that was coming to mind where I get the least clear or most confused is there's some things that I want to do or some things that I want to stop doing, but not right now. And so it's interesting in that when I check in with myself, do I want to do this? Or maybe I'm going to pick something made up, but it might be like, do I want to go on holiday to Paris? Yes. But then it still feels like there's no action to take right now, or it feels like, oh, well, I'm not doing it. I must be procrastinating, or, oh, not right now. And sometimes I don't, if I was, if I was to ask when, if it's something like a vacation to Paris, you might get a clear when, like next summer. But I don't always with some activities or things I might like to do in future. Um, or some things that I feel like I might not want to continue doing, but they're not like easily um not easily terminated. Like it might take a bit to shut something down, for example. Um, yeah, often the answer is not right now, which is why it can look confusing.
So I've had this wanting to have a swimming pool in my backyard since I was, I don't know, in junior high when I met one of my girlfriends. They actually had a neighborhood pool. My neighborhood didn't have a pool. But I wanted, that's kind of, I think, when it started. Well, the wanting, like, I actually want a swimming pool in my backyard. And I don't think I'm ever, ever, ever going to have one because I don't want the expense of building it. I don't want to maintain it. And it is, so I have some wants that I don't think I'm ever going to take action on. That I don't think I'm ever going to, and I was surprised. So every time the wanting of the swimming pool comes up, and it will come up, I will literally sit with pen and paper and come up with a spreadsheet. I think it's going to cost this month per month. Okay, like in 10 years, I gotta have the surface redone. Okay, like a little amortize that into the price. Like, oh, this is gonna cost me, you know, $50,000 up front and $250 a month, and dealing with the people. Like, no, I don't want that. But I still want a swimming pool in my backyard. Like, so to me, there's a clean and clear desire to right now be able to walk outside after we hang up and float around in a swimming pool in my backyard. And yet I'm never going to do it. Well, I don't know, but it's unlikely that I'm ever going to do it. And
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. And the opposite too, I, and I realized that a lot of confusion for me is I should do this. And then it can sneakily look like I want to, but it's really a should. But even more seductive than that are things that I know I could do. Like I'm really good at XYZ. I just bought a Pilates reformer. I could offer classes. I have one person that I do personal training with over FaceTime, 2 or 3 mornings a week. I got the reformer for myself, and it's like, well, I could do that. I could offer Pilates. I could charge a lot more than I do for personal training. Yeah, but no, I do not. I don't want to turn that into a business. Like I got that for me. I want to reserve that. But I can be confused with wanting when it's something that I should, or more so when I know I could. And I will, man, that could, you could, and that looks really juicy. And then just there's a slowing down for me that I need to go, okay, just because you could doesn't mean you actually want to.
Yeah. Yeah. And to your first point, there's a huge freedom in just acknowledging things you want that you're never gonna do anything, you know, to not do for various reasons. Like there's reasons, like you gave the reasons why you more don't want, like you want a pool in your backyard, but you more don't want the
Yeah.
the financial or the upkeep or the what goes into a pool. Or there's things I just want that I know I'm never gonna, yeah, I have no intention of ever doing.
Well, Sarah Joy, maybe it is like it's the same coin, want and don't want. Like I actually don't want the maintenance, the upkeep, the dealing with the people that have to come and do the repairs. You know, that is something, so knowing for sure what you actually don't want, what you're going to say no to. It's To me, it's just this, it's just the other side of the same coin.
Yeah. I've experienced where I wanted something and I thought I knew what was involved and I didn't want that, but then I was wrong. And
Ah,
the wanting, the original wanting thing happened in a completely different way. And like if you had neighbors that had a pool that were perfectly happy to have you toddle over and float around whenever you wanted, or or I don't know, but yeah, things where I thought I knew how it was going to happen, and then everything changed, and that was also interesting. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I have also gone down the rabbit hole of I could, or more so with different business ideas. Um, At one point years ago, it was actually when I was having my children and they were babies. And so I was in that pregnancy, birthing, small children world. And it looked really like my town could use a independent birthing center. And this actually might now exist, but didn't then. And oh, women could come and have the birthing experience they wanted, and it could be like this, and it could be like this, and you could have this. And I thought it was such a great business idea. And for a while, I kind of worked up a whole business plan and, oh, I'm going to become a midwife. Okay, well, it's 7 years of school. Okay. At one point, I thought, well, maybe I'll become an OBGYN. Okay, well, that's med school plus residency plus specialization. Okay, well, I'll do that. And, oh, well, I'll also have to become a nutritionist. And but even to I didn't even want to I realized after, however long looking at, well, I could do all this. I didn't actually want to own a birthing center, even as an entrepreneur that brought in professionals. Yeah.
Sarah Joy, that got me thinking about, well, first of all, I want to share too. Like most of my I could, and therefore I think I want to, arises for me in my practice and business and being an entrepreneur. That's where it shows up most often. Um, but I also learned that oftentimes the true actual want is there, and that I actually start moving in the direction of getting the thing. Oh, I want to write a book. And I don't discover that, yeah, wow, it's going to take a year to write the book. There's going to be iterations. There's going to be publishing. Like, I don't even think about that. I just jump into writing. And then at some point, I realize, at least right now, I don't actually want that. And I used to give myself a lot of shit because I would try a lot of things. And now I look at myself as an explorer. Sometimes for me, yeah, there's a resonance. I actually want that. But sometimes I have to experiment. I have to play. I have to explore. I got to try it out to find out that I do or I don't want it. And I think that's a cool way to live life. That if something's tugging on my soul, and it looks like, no, I think I actually want that. There's nothing wrong with jumping in and playing with that, giving some attention and time to try to get that thing that you want, and then finding out, partway down the road, nope, I don't want that. And
Yeah.
sometimes for me, at least for me, and I think it's true for a lot of people, discovering what you actually want sometimes entails jumping in and playing with it a little bit. And then you're not a loser if you go. I mean, I really had a lot of people throughout my life that have said, "Oh my gosh, Kathleen, I can't believe the number of things you start and don't finish." And I took that as a markdown. Well, now I'm just like, yeah, yep. That's how I find out. That's another way that I discover what I actually want, is I just give it a shot. Now, I've actually started down the path of things that I thought I actually wanted. And if I'd slowed down a little bit and checked in a little bit more and quieted my mind, and just like I get that shot of adrenaline, like a business idea, like, oh, there's a few that I probably wouldn't have even taken the first step in that direction if I'd slowed down a little bit and said, no, you don't actually want
That is the great thing, though, is that, I mean, when you can play around, there's no wrong. It doesn't, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. There's no right or wrong about figuring out what you want. And when you say how, people would say to you, you start so many things you don't finish it. My first thought is, well, how nice for them that they think that they have the freedom to think that over
Yeah.
there by themselves. How
And
nice for
they have the freedom to not explore as many things as I've had and live their life that way.
they can
You
do whatever they want. But yeah, so it's sort of some of the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else about how do you know what you want?
I think we covered some good things. And I think this will be helpful to people I think the conversation itself should make it apparent that it's valuable to know what you actually want and what you actually don't want.
Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it comes down to sometimes it's just a feeling of I just want it.
Ultimately, that's it. At some point, yep, I want that. It's pure. It's just it's just pure desire. Want it.
Yeah. So tune in next time for once you know what you actually want, what then? Oh,
Ah,
so that will be next time. All right. Thanks
next
for listening.
episode. Thank you. See you next time.
Bye.